6 Ahmed Al Maghribi fragrances that are worth every penny. Hey guys, I'm George, the nice medic gentleman, and it's time for your dose of some fragrance content. It's also time to cover the brand of Ahmed Al Maghribi in my series of videos called 6 scents that are worth every penny. And I'm going to start with something very versatile, something very easy to wear, an original scent profile that is very famous and a bestseller for the brand. The original brand is called Chanel. The original scent is called Bleu de Chanel, and the clone, or the alternative from the brand of Ahmed Al Maghribi that I'm about to show you, is called Simply Blue. And it also has this sort of an, gradient color between something between blue and green. The bottle itself, the bottle is pretty simple, looks pretty simplistic, has nice heft. The fragrance has a pressurized sprayer, and this one is not an identical clone. It's not like a straight up clone of Bleu de Chanel. This sits closer to the EDT version of Bleu de Chanel. I've always found this one to be a little bit more spicy, a little bit sharper. It just has this slight Middle Eastern edge to it. But if you are familiar with the original scent, you'll immediately recognize that Blue from Ahmed Al Maghribi is heavily inspired by Bleu de Chanel. So, it carries pretty much the same versatility. It's woody, it's spicy, it's fresh with a bit of sweetness, it's masculine, it's very versatile, very easy to wear, and you can wear it throughout the year. The next one that I've included in today's video is one of their scents that I really like a lot, that has super beastly performance, and that's more on the unique side, meaning that I don't think it's a straight up clone of anything. The fragrance is called Ignite Oud. It comes in this 60 ml bottle, but keep in mind that 60 ml is a lot with this fragrance, because this is pretty beastly when it comes to its performance. Now, some people for some reason have been comparing this one with stuff like let's say Maison Crivelli's Oud Maracuja. I've never found this one to actually smell anything like Oud Maracuja, apart from the fact that it has some florals like Oud Maracuja, and maybe this has some agar oud in it, but that's where the similarities between this one and Oud Maracuja actually end, because this feels a lot more floral. This lacks the fruity sweetness, it lacks the strength of the agar oud note, it lacks the strength of the leather note, although this has a leather note, but it's nowhere near as strong as you'll find with the original one from Maison Crivelli. This feels more spicy, this feels more floral, this feels fresher, but I don't know how they did it, but at the end of the day, even though this feels green and fresh, this is a beast of a performer. It's a very unique scent that, in my opinion, is also very versatile, because it has enough airness, enough freshness to work in warm weather. It also has the performance and the staying power and the projection to work in cold weather as well. So overall, this is a very, very interesting, very unique scent from the brand of Ahmed Al Maghribi, and it's called Ignite Oud. Now, the next two that I'm about to show you, they look very similar to each other bottle-wise. They're part of the same small line. There's a third one which I don't own, but as far as I know, that third one is more of a feminine scent. The two that I'm about to show you are called a clock and Brulee. Now, I recently talked about a clock in one of my list videos, I think a few days ago. This is a very interesting scent that, keep in mind that those two fragrances, those two bottles also have a pressurized sprayer. And this is an interesting fragrance that reminds me a lot of Jean-Paul Gaultier's Ultra Mauve, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like an exact clone of Ultra Mauve, because Ultra Mauve, although is a very sweet fragrance on its own, it has a certain amount of freshness, a certain amount of aromatic nature to it as well, whereas a clock from Ahmed Al Maghribi feels like the sweeter brother of Ultra Mauve in a way. You still get that combination of vanilla and pure that adds this nice sweet and very sort of an alluring and very mass-pleasing scent, but this is accompanied by more fruity sweetness, and overall this feels like a more intense, like a less fresh and less aromatic version of Ultra Mauve. The dry down sits a little bit closer to Ultra Mauve. The opening is where this feels more different, but it's an interesting way to recreate that original scent profile. I've said this many times before, but I absolutely love Ultra Mauve, and although this is not an exact clone, Pretty much anything done in the style of Ultra Mauve I'm a sucker for, so I really like a clock. Nice quality, strong performance, it's an extrait de parfum concentrated fragrance, so it's an interesting clone with a twist of Ultra Mauve. The other one, Brulee, this also reminds me a lot of a very popular fragrance. Again, you get a pressurized prayer. In this case, the original one that this sort of reminds me very heavily comes from the brand of Parfums de Marly, and it's called Altair. Now, Altair is a very popular scent right now. Pretty much every Middle Eastern brand has done their own version of an Altair clone or alternative. Some of those, fragrances like, let's say, Historic Sahara from Afnan or Liquid Broom from French Avenue, they feel like straight-up clones with very, very small changes. Whereas Creme Brulee is part of, or like Brulee, excuse me, is the name of this one, is a part of another sort of a small lineup of Middle Eastern clones that take the Altair scent profile, but they twist it quite a bit and change it enough so that they don't feel like an exact clone. Another such fragrance that comes to mind is from the Lattafa Emirati line, and it's called Classic Stone. And this one feels pretty similar to that one from Lattafa. Basically what the guys from Ahmed Al Maghribi have done is that they have toned down that floral touch, those white florals, the orange blossom that you'll find in the original Altair. They've toned down that aromatic nature. They've toned down the spiciness in this one as well, and they've added more sweetness. Now the sweetness in here feels, along with the vanillic sweetness that you'll find in the original one and in here, it's accompanied by some other sweet notes. There's this one feels a bit like having a creme brulee note, maybe like a caramel note as well, making it like a more gourmand version of Altair. Still, in its heart, it's an Altair clone, but done in a different and more interesting way. Maybe that added sweetness makes this one a little bit more unisex than the original one from Parfums de Marly. The quality though again is very nice, the performance is strong, projects nicely, and both of those actually sometimes could be found for a very, very low price that make them no-brainer if you like the original scents. Now this next one is probably one of their most famous scents, if not the most famous scent, and it's called Kaaf. Looks like this, and this is a very interesting fresh floral aromatic fragrance with a lot of fruity sweetness in it. Now a lot of people say that this is a clone of Parfum de Marly's Percival. Other people swear that this smells a lot like Abercrombie and Fitch Fierce. I find similarities between those two original fragrances and this one, in fact, as well a lot, but I don't think this is an exact clone of any of those. Again, as I said, this feels fresh, this feels fruity, this feels aromatic, this feels also very musky, especially on the dry down. This is like a more unisex take on those two original scents in my opinion, but this smells very, very nice, and at least my bottle also has pretty beastly performance. It's one of the best performing fresh summertime scents that I have in my collection at the moment, giving me super long lasting power on skin and also projecting very strongly. And again, this is a good selling fragrance from the brand of Ahmed Al Maghribi for a good reason. I think it's a nice one, and I think it's famous for a good reason. And the last one that I've included in today's video was the very first Ahmed Al Maghribi fragrance that I ever added to my collection, and it's simply called Leather. One thing that sometimes sets apart the brand of Ahmed Al Maghribi from other major brands is their short naming. For example, this is simply called Leather, this is called Kaaf, this is called Brulee. They don't go for fancy names, and I kind of like that thing, to be honest. Now Leather looks like this. It's a 50 milliliter bottle, but again, don't let that small bottle size fool you, because this fragrance is an absolute beast when it comes to performance. This one is heavily inspired by Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. Again, it's not an exact clone, but definitely brings Tuscan Leather vibes in my opinion, and this is one of the highest quality clones of Tuscan Leather that I've tried. So pretty much, if you are familiar with Tuscan Leather, you know what to expect. If not, the name would give it away. Basically, this is a fragrance that relies on a very strong leather note. Now you'll get some sweetness in here, you'll get some spiciness, maybe a hint of fruitiness as well. Overall, I would say that this feels maybe even a little bit more leathery than Tuscan Leather itself, because Tuscan Leather at least has a few fruity nuances to balance out the leatheriness. This one feels like a more leathery version. It's a very highly concentrated fragrance. Whenever I spray this one, it leaves an oily spot on my skin. This can stain your clothes, keep that in mind as well, but that means that it has very high concentration. Although I think this is officially sold as an EDP concentrated fragrance, in my opinion the concentration of the perfume oil in here is actually higher than maybe a lot of extracts. Again, it just leaves a very oily spot whenever you spray this one. Super nice quality and beastly performance. So if you're looking for a Tuscan leather clone, definitely, if you have access to this one, definitely check this one out. And so guys, in today's video I showed you 6 Ahmed Al Maghribi fragrances that are worth every penny. I hope that you found today's video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in the next one for your dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.